The sudden and mysterious disappearance of a pregnant woman has left an entire community shaken and desperate for answers. What was supposed to be a joyful time, filled with anticipation for the arrival of a new life, quickly turned into a chilling mystery. The woman vanished without a trace, leaving behind questions that seemed impossible to answer. Her family is distraught, the police are baffled, and the media frenzy only adds fuel to the fire. But beneath the surface of this shocking event lies a darker story, one of greed, betrayal, and hidden agendas that threaten to unravel the truth. The more people dig, the more complicated and dangerous the situation becomes. At the center of this turmoil is a wealthy billionaire, a man known for his immense fortune, extravagant lifestyle, and powerful influence. On the outside, he appears to have it all, a thriving business empire, social status, and a seemingly perfect family expecting a new member. But behind closed doors, this billionaire's life is far from idyllic. Whispers of infidelity and secret affairs have long circulated, pointing toward a mysterious mistress whose presence casts a long shadow over the family. The mistress, a woman whose ambitions and intentions remain unclear, seems to be entwined in the billionaire's life in ways that many have yet to fully understand. Her role in the unfolding drama raises unsettling questions about loyalty, trust, and the lengths people will go to for money and power. As the investigation into the disappearance deepens, the atmosphere grows thick with suspense. What really happened to the pregnant wife? Did she leave voluntarily to escape a dangerous situation, or was she forcibly taken? And how is the billionaire connected to her vanishing? The lines between victim and villain blur as secrets start to surface, revealing a tangled web of deception and greed. This is not just a simple case of a missing person, it is a complex story involving hidden motives and calculated schemes. The stakes are high, and every new detail seems to pull the viewer deeper into the mystery. This story promises a roller coaster of emotions and shocking twists, a mystery full of betrayal, greed, and deception unfolds before our eyes. The truth is waiting to be uncovered, but will it come before it's too late? The disappearance of the pregnant wife is only the beginning of a dark tale where fortune, love, and trust collide in the most unexpected ways. The billionaire at the center of this dramatic story is a man whose name is synonymous with wealth and power. Known for his vast fortune that spans multiple industries, from real estate to technology, he has built an empire that many admire and envy. His life is a constant whirl of business meetings, luxury events, and high-profile deals that keep him at the pinnacle of success. With properties scattered across the globe and an ever-growing portfolio, he enjoys the privileges that come with immense wealth, including private jets, exotic vacations, and a social circle filled with influential figures. To the outside world, he appears invincible, the perfect example of someone who has it all and knows how to wield his power with confidence. His reputation as a shrewd businessman is matched only by his ability to maintain a carefully crafted image of a devoted family man. His wife, a young and graceful woman, is the polar opposite in many ways, warm, gentle, and deeply caring. She comes from a modest background but captured the billionaire's heart with her charm, intelligence, and kind nature. Their love story, at least as it seemed to the public, was one of fairy tales, a romance that blossomed quickly, culminating in a lavish wedding surrounded by friends, family, and the elite. She embraced her new life with sincerity, often seen attending charitable events and engaging in community work, always by her husband's side. Her personality radiated a sense of hope and positivity, which made their relationship appear strong and stable. Despite the vast difference in their worlds, she seemed genuinely happy and deeply connected to her husband. Friends described her as someone with a nurturing spirit and a determination to support her family no matter what challenges came their way. One of the most exciting chapters in their life was the news of her pregnancy. The couple eagerly anticipated the arrival of their first child, and for a time, it seemed that everything was falling perfectly into place. The pregnancy was announced publicly with great fanfare, and the anticipation of new life brought an air of joy to their otherwise hectic existence. She was often seen glowing with happiness, sharing moments of her pregnancy journey on social media and in interviews. The thought of starting a family together gave hope not only to them but also to those who admired their seemingly perfect union. It was a moment filled with dreams, plans, and expectations for the future, a future that now feels heartbreakingly uncertain. Before the storm that shattered their lives, there was a picture-perfect image of family bliss. Photographs captured them smiling together at various events, the billionaire proudly holding his wife close as she cradled her baby bump. The couple appeared united, their love and commitment to each other evident in every glance and gesture. Their social media pages were filled with affectionate posts, holiday celebrations, and glimpses of their life behind the scenes. To the public, this was the image of success, happiness, and hope. But behind the smiles and glamorous appearances, cracks were beginning to form, cracks that would soon widen into a chasm of suspicion and heartbreak. The idyllic life they projected was slowly unraveling, setting the stage for the dark and tangled story that was about to unfold. The mistress is a figure cloaked in secrecy and intrigue, a woman whose presence in the billionaire's life was hidden from the public eye but known to a select few close to the couple. She comes from a background that contrasts sharply with both the billionaire and his wife, ambitious, resourceful, and unafraid to use her charm and wit to climb social and financial ladders. Unlike the pregnant wife, who was perceived as warm and genuine, the mistress exudes a calculated confidence, a woman who knows exactly what she wants and how to get it. Her connection to the billionaire began in the shadowy corners of the elite social world, perhaps at a gala, a private party, or through mutual acquaintances, where glances and conversations slowly turned into secret meetings and a covert affair that neither wanted to be discovered. Over time, their relationship deepened, fueled by desire, power, and opportunity, though always kept out of the public eye. The secret affair between the billionaire and the mistress started as a fleeting attraction but quickly escalated into something more intense and dangerous. What began as stolen moments and whispered conversations behind closed doors grew into a tangled web of lies and deception. The mistress became an increasingly frequent presence in the billionaire's life, often slipping into his schedule at times when his wife was unaware. Rumors circulated in hushed tones among insiders, but no one had concrete proof until now. Their connection was not just about passion, it was a strategic alliance, with the mistress aware that her relationship with such a powerful man could open doors to wealth and influence she had only dreamed of. The affair was marked by lavish gifts, secret vacations, and coded messages, all underscoring the risk and reward involved in their dangerous liaison. The mistress's ambitions run deep and are far from innocent. She is not simply a woman caught in a forbidden romance, she is a calculating player with clear goals. Her motivations go beyond love or lust, she sees the billionaire's fortune and status as a means to elevate her own life permanently. The allure of wealth, social standing, and the ability to control a powerful empire drives her forward. She is willing to navigate dangerous waters, manipulating emotions and situations to position herself as the ultimate beneficiary of the billionaire's wealth. Some say she is ruthless, stopping at nothing to secure her place beside him, even if it means tearing down the family he once cherished. Her presence is like a shadow creeping into the couple's life, threatening to consume everything in its path. Hints and foreshadowing suggest that the mistress is not just a passive participant but an active architect in the sinister events that are about to unfold. Her increasing influence over the billionaire raises alarm bells, and her role in the billionaire's plan to seize control of the fortune becomes clearer as the story progresses. Behind her composed and confident facade lies a woman prepared to make difficult and dark choices to achieve her ambitions. The mystery of the pregnant wife's disappearance begins to intertwine with the mistress's calculated moves, creating a tension-filled narrative where trust is shattered, and betrayal lurks at every corner. The mistress, once a hidden threat, is poised to become the central figure in a game of power and deceit that will shock everyone involved. The day the pregnant wife vanished started like any other, but it quickly spiraled into a nightmare that no one could have anticipated. Early that morning, she was seen leaving the family estate for a routine appointment, her demeanor calm but with a hint of unease that only a few noticed. She had planned to meet with her doctor for a prenatal checkup, something that she had looked forward to throughout her pregnancy. Friends and family expected her to return home within the hour, but as the day wore on, it became clear that something was terribly wrong. Calls to her phone went unanswered, and her absence grew more alarming with each passing hour. The atmosphere shifted from concern to outright panic as the reality of her disappearance began to sink in. Her last known whereabouts were traced to the upscale medical center where she had her appointment scheduled. Security footage showed her arriving in the morning, entering the building confidently but never leaving through the main exit. This raised immediate suspicions as to what had happened inside. Some employees recalled seeing her speak briefly with an unknown man in the parking lot, while others reported a mysterious black SUV that lingered near the entrance for an unusual amount of time. These small but significant details added layers of mystery to her disappearance. No signs of forced entry or struggle were found in her home, which made investigators question whether she had left willingly or was taken against her will. As the hours turned into days, the evidence began to paint a confusing picture. There were theories of foul play. Some believed she was kidnapped or worse, silenced to prevent her from exposing dark secrets. Others wondered if she had staged her own disappearance to escape a dangerous marriage or impending threat. The presence of the billionaire husband complicated matters further, as many speculated about his possible involvement, especially given his rumored relationship with the mistress. Phone records, bank statements, and surveillance data were combed through for clues, but nothing definitive emerged immediately. The uncertainty fueled media speculation and public fascination, with theories ranging from conspiracy to cover-up. Family and friends were devastated and bewildered by her sudden vanishing. Her closest relatives described her as a loving and devoted soon-to-be mother who had no reason to disappear voluntarily. They pointed to the changes they had noticed in the billionaire's behavior, distance, coldness, and increased secrecy, that suggested a growing tension in the household. Friends recalled conversations where she hinted at feeling trapped or anxious but never expected it to escalate to this tragic point. The community rallied together in support, organizing search parties and social media campaigns to find her. Yet, beneath the surface, whispers of suspicion began to spread, especially regarding the billionaire and his possible motives. Many struggled to reconcile the image of a caring husband with the shadow of doubt that now hung over him. The police quickly took charge of the investigation, launching a full-scale search and treating the case as a high-priority missing persons report. Detectives interviewed family members, household staff, and anyone who might have seen or heard anything unusual. They meticulously examined the family estate for any signs of a struggle or clues left behind. Forensic teams worked to analyze phone data, texts, and emails to reconstruct her last movements. The involvement of the billionaire drew additional attention, and the authorities faced pressure to uncover the truth swiftly, especially given the high-profile nature of the case. However, despite intense efforts, the investigation faced roadblocks. Key witnesses were reluctant to speak, and the mistress's elusive presence complicated the narrative. Initial findings suggested two possible scenarios: either she was abducted by someone close to the family or had fled on her own to protect herself from a perceived threat. Each angle carried its own set of disturbing implications. The police were caught between navigating the wealthy family's influence and the urgent need to find the missing woman alive. As the search continued, public interest soared, with news outlets and social media followers eagerly following every development. The mystery deepened with no clear answers in sight, setting the stage for revelations that would shock even those closest to the case. At the heart of this tangled and troubling story lie the billionaire's dark motives, rooted deeply in greed and a ruthless desire to secure his financial empire at any cost. The pregnant wife was not only his partner in life but also the rightful heir to a significant fortune, an inheritance that she stood to receive soon after their child's birth. This fortune, accumulated through generations of wealth and smart investments, represented more than just money. It was a symbol of security and legacy. For the billionaire, this inheritance was a prize he desperately wanted to control, and her sudden disappearance presented a dangerous opportunity to seize it for himself. Behind the polished facade of a loving husband was a man calculating the potential gains he could make if she were out of the picture for good. The billionaire's plan was chilling in its clarity. By removing the pregnant wife from the equation, whether through coercion or worse, he aimed to marry his mistress and consolidate not only his existing fortune but also the large inheritance that would have otherwise passed to his wife and their unborn child. This union with the mistress was not merely about personal affection, it was a strategic move designed to tighten his grip on the entire financial empire. the mistress, eager and ambitious, stood ready to become his new partner in wealth and power. Together, they planned to rewrite the rules of succession and ownership, ensuring that all assets flowed through their hands. This scheme, if successful, would leave the pregnant wife and her child with nothing, stripping away any chance of security or justice. The billionaire's character reveals the darker side of this story, one filled with manipulation, greed, and a complete disregard for morality. Those close to him describe a man who is charming and persuasive on the surface but cold and calculating beneath. His ability to manipulate people and situations has been key to his rise in business, but it also extends into his personal life. He uses deception and intimidation to keep those around him in line, silencing dissent and eliminating obstacles. His ruthlessness knows no bounds, and the disappearance of his pregnant wife may be the most extreme example of how far he is willing to go to protect his interests. His obsession with wealth and control blinds him to the emotional devastation and human cost caused by his actions. To maintain his public image and avoid suspicion, the billionaire employs a careful strategy of deception and cover-up. He presents himself as a grieving husband, devastated by the sudden loss of his wife, even going so far as to cooperate with the police and make public appeals for her safe return. Behind the scenes, however, he is actively manipulating evidence, controlling narratives, and silencing those who might expose the truth. He spreads misinformation and creates distractions to divert attention from his involvement. Media outlets and social circles are subtly influenced to uphold his innocence and maintain his reputation. This elaborate web of lies is designed to keep the public and authorities off balance, buying him time to finalize his plans with the mistress. His mastery of deceit and power is chilling, revealing how carefully he has orchestrated this entire situation to serve his selfish ends. This combination of financial motivation, personal ambition, and moral bankruptcy makes the billionaire a dangerous antagonist in this story. His actions threaten not only his missing wife and unborn child but also the very foundations of trust and justice. As the investigation continues, the challenge lies in exposing his schemes and bringing him to account before it is too late. The darkness surrounding his motives casts a long shadow, one that threatens to engulf everyone caught in its path. As the investigation into the pregnant wife's disappearance unfolded, the detectives uncovered a series of clues that both illuminated and obscured the truth. Some of these mysterious clues appeared promising at first but later proved to be red herrings, misleading pieces of evidence that complicated the search rather than clarifying it. For instance, investigators found fragments of a torn note near the estate, but the handwriting did not match anyone close to the family. Similarly, a series of late-night phone calls made from the wife's phone baffled the police. Some were traced to unknown numbers, while others were blocked or deleted. These cryptic messages hinted at secrets lurking beneath the surface, but none led directly to her whereabouts. Each clue seemed to open new doors but ultimately closed off others, creating a labyrinthine mystery that challenged even the most seasoned detectives. Throughout the investigation, the billionaire and his mistress displayed suspicious behavior that raised many eyebrows. The billionaire, despite his public displays of grief, was seen avoiding direct questions from the press and investigators, often providing vague answers or contradicting statements. His composure in the face of such a personal crisis seemed rehearsed, fueling speculation about his true feelings and possible involvement. Meanwhile, the mistress appeared unusually confident and unshaken, even attending social events with a smile just days after the wife's disappearance. Her calm demeanor and close association with the billionaire during this turbulent time led many to believe she was more deeply involved than she admitted. These behaviors fueled rumors and increased pressure on authorities to dig deeper into their roles. Adding to the complexity were possible third parties who may have had a hand in the wife's vanishing. Some investigators explored the idea that unknown individuals, perhaps with grudges against the billionaire or the family, could have intervened. There were whispers of business rivals eager to exploit the billionaire's vulnerability, as well as former associates holding grudges. Security footage showed unfamiliar faces near the estate in the days leading up to the disappearance, but none could be conclusively linked to the crime. These shadowy figures only served to deepen the mystery, leaving the investigation with more questions than answers. The possibility of accomplices or outside involvement created a sense of paranoia and uncertainty that permeated the case. Meanwhile, the community around the family was rife with rumors and gossip, each adding another layer of intrigue to the already tangled story. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones about strange visitors, late-night arguments overheard behind closed doors, and whispered threats exchanged in private. Some claimed to have seen the mistress arriving unannounced or leaving the estate at odd hours, fueling suspicions of secret meetings and conspiracies. Social media exploded with theories, accusations, and speculation, turning the case into a public obsession. The media played a significant role in spreading both facts and misinformation, blurring the lines between truth and rumor. Friends and acquaintances were caught between loyalty and suspicion, unsure who to trust or what to believe. This atmosphere of doubt and tension made the investigation even more challenging, as each new lead had to be carefully weighed against the noise of gossip and speculation. In this tangled web of clues, misdirection, and suspicion, the line between truth and deception blurred. The investigators had to sift through layers of false leads and carefully analyze the behaviors of those closest to the case. Every new revelation brought them closer to understanding the complex dynamics at play but also highlighted how many secrets remained hidden. The presence of multiple suspects, potential accomplices, and the ever-watchful eyes of the public turned this disappearance into a gripping, multifaceted mystery, one that would demand sharp detective work and unwavering resolve to solve. As the investigation progressed, it became increasingly clear that the mistress's role in this dark saga was far more significant than anyone had initially suspected. What began as a secret affair gradually transformed into a position of increasing control over the billionaire's personal and financial affairs. The mistress, once merely a shadow lurking on the edges of their lives, began to assert herself with confidence and precision. She gained access to important documents, business meetings, and private conversations, slowly embedding herself deeper into the billionaire's world. Her influence extended beyond just emotional manipulation. She was now a key player in decisions that affected the family's fortune and future. Her ability to manipulate the situation was both subtle and strategic. Behind her composed exterior, she orchestrated moves that destabilized the already fragile relationship between the billionaire and his pregnant wife. Through whispered suggestions and calculated actions, she fueled mistrust and widened the emotional divide. Reports surfaced of secret phone calls, coded texts, and late-night rendezvous where plans were discussed in hushed tones, away from prying eyes. The mistress used these moments to ensure the billionaire's allegiance remained firmly with her, steering him toward a future where she would be the one to inherit his wealth and power. This manipulation was not born out of love but ambition, a calculated effort to secure her place in a world far beyond what she had known. Secret meetings played a critical role in the mistress's rising dominance. Whether in private suites at luxury hotels, secluded estates, or behind closed doors at exclusive clubs, these encounters allowed her to coordinate with the billionaire and others who might aid her schemes. Hidden messages, sometimes disguised as innocuous texts or cryptic social media posts, were used to communicate plans and verify loyalty. These covert exchanges painted a picture of a well-organized operation rather than a simple affair. Her network of contacts and allies ensured that her presence was felt in multiple spheres, both public and private. Each interaction was carefully designed to tighten her grip and keep the billionaire, and those around him, under her influence. Psychologically, the mistress embodies a complex blend of ambition, jealousy, and cunning. Her ambition drives her relentless pursuit of wealth and status, pushing her to cross boundaries that others might hesitate to approach. Jealousy, both of the pregnant wife and the life she represented, fuels her determination to replace her completely. This envy is not merely personal but symbolic. It represents the mistress's desire to claim what she sees as rightfully hers, no matter the cost. Her cunning is evident in the way she navigates social circles, manipulates perceptions, and anticipates the moves of her rivals. She is patient yet ruthless, knowing when to push forward and when to retreat. This psychological profile reveals a woman who is not simply a victim of circumstance but an architect of her own destiny, willing to use every tool at her disposal to achieve her goals. As the mistress's role deepened, it became apparent that she was more than just a temptress or an interloper. She was a calculated force driving the billionaire's darkest plans. Her increasing control, strategic manipulation, secret communications, and relentless ambition combined to make her a formidable antagonist in this unfolding drama. The disappearance of the pregnant wife and the ensuing chaos were not accidents but parts of a carefully orchestrated plan, with the mistress pulling strings from behind the scenes, ready to claim the prize that lay within her reach. The story of the pregnant wife's struggle is filled with moments of uncertainty, fear, and resilience, unfolding in a series of possible scenarios that capture the gravity of her situation. One possibility is that she was forcibly taken and held captive, trapped in a place far from the comfort and safety of her home. If this is the case, she faces the daunting challenge of survival while vulnerable and alone, with limited access to help or communication. Her physical state, complicated by pregnancy, adds a layer of urgency and danger. The weight of carrying a new life brings both strength and fragility. Her body is changing, yet she must endure the mental and emotional trauma of isolation. Each day is a battle not only to protect herself but also to protect the child she carries, clinging to hope in a situation that grows increasingly dire. Alternatively, flashbacks suggest the possibility that she managed to escape her captors or a threatening environment, though at great personal cost. In this scenario, she might be hiding somewhere, too frightened or unable to reach out for help publicly. The emotional toll of being a pregnant woman on the run is immense. She must navigate unfamiliar territory, avoid detection, and find sources of support without revealing her identity. Her anxiety is compounded by the uncertainty of whether the billionaire and his mistress are actively searching for her or plotting to silence her for good. These flashbacks, real or imagined, give glimpses into her courage and desperation, highlighting a woman who refuses to be broken despite overwhelming odds. Emotionally, the pregnant wife's journey is one of profound turmoil. The betrayal by someone she once trusted deeply, the man she married, has left her isolated and vulnerable. The psychological weight of fear, uncertainty, and heartbreak is immense, but she also shows moments of remarkable strength. Her determination to fight for her life and her unborn child fuels her resilience. Even in moments of despair, thoughts of motherhood and the future provide a beacon of hope. She dreams of justice, of exposing the truth and reclaiming her rightful place. This emotional struggle is complicated by physical challenges unique to pregnancy, such as fatigue, discomfort, and the constant need for medical care, which make her situation even more precarious. Despite the danger, there is hope that she is not entirely alone in her fight. Possible allies may be working discreetly behind the scenes, friends, loyal staff, or compassionate strangers who have glimpsed her plight and are risking their own safety to assist her. These helpers may provide shelter, food, medical aid, or information, acting as lifelines in a world that feels hostile and unwelcoming. Their presence, though hidden, offers a glimmer of hope that she can eventually escape and bring the truth to light. These quiet acts of bravery contrast sharply with the loud, ruthless ambition of the billionaire and his mistress, showing that even in the darkest moments, human kindness can prevail. Her fight for survival is also a fight for justice, not just for herself, but for the life growing inside her and for those who have been silenced by greed and cruelty before her. She clings to the belief that the truth will emerge, that the people who care about her will not give up, and that the corrupt will be held accountable. This conviction drives her forward, even when her physical and emotional reserves are nearly depleted. The narrative of her struggle is one of endurance, courage, and the unyielding power of hope in the face of overwhelming adversity. Throughout this ordeal, the pregnant wife symbolizes more than just a missing person. She represents resilience in the fight against oppression. Whether trapped or in hiding, her story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. It is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of circumstances, survival is possible, and justice can prevail with the help of those who refuse to turn away. After weeks of dead ends and frustrating silence, the investigation finally reached a crucial turning point that injected new hope into the case of the missing pregnant wife. Detectives uncovered a piece of evidence that broke the stagnant trail wide open, a small but significant detail overlooked in the early stages. A security camera near a remote exit from the medical center revealed a suspicious figure closely following the wife shortly after her appointment. The figure's face was obscured, but the timing and location suggested someone close to the billionaire's inner circle. This breakthrough prompted investigators to intensify their efforts, revisiting phone records and re-examining previously dismissed leads with fresh eyes. The renewed vigor and direction gave the police a concrete thread to follow, dramatically shifting the atmosphere from uncertainty to cautious optimism. As the investigation gained momentum, witnesses who had been silent or fearful began to step forward. Some former employees of the billionaire's estate came forward with previously hidden information, describing tense exchanges and suspicious activities around the time of the wife's disappearance. A neighbor reported overhearing an argument between the billionaire and the mistress late at night, filled with veiled threats and desperation. Another witness claimed to have seen the mistress near a storage facility on the outskirts of the city, a location previously unknown to the investigators. These testimonies, while sometimes contradictory, collectively painted a more detailed picture of the events leading up to the disappearance. The growing number of witnesses and tips added pressure on the authorities to act swiftly and decisively. Under the mounting pressure of the investigation and increasing media scrutiny, the billionaire and his mistress began to show cracks in their carefully constructed facades. The billionaire, once composed and confident, appeared visibly stressed during interrogations, occasionally slipping into contradictions or evasive answers. His usual charm was replaced by a defensive, almost hostile demeanor as questions probed deeper into his relationship with his missing wife and the mistress's involvement. The mistress, too, reacted sharply to the pressure, canceling public appearances and cutting off communication with several close contacts. Rumors swirled about a rift forming between the two, with the mistress allegedly feeling sidelined as the investigation threatened to expose their secret alliance. These reactions fueled speculation that the pressure was unraveling the carefully crafted plan, leaving them vulnerable. Tense confrontations became a defining feature of this phase of the investigation. Police and legal teams confronted the billionaire and mistress with new evidence and witness accounts, forcing them into defensive positions. In private meetings, sharp exchanges took place, with accusations flying beneath the surface and subtle threats exchanged behind closed doors. The atmosphere was thick with tension as both tried to protect themselves while attempting to undermine each other's credibility. The billionaire's attempts to blame external parties or claim ignorance met with skepticism, and the mistress's silence or vague explanations only deepened suspicion. These confrontations exposed the cracks in their stories, revealing inconsistencies and lies that investigators could no longer ignore. The revelations that emerged during this critical phase changed the direction of the case. What was once a confusing and murky disappearance evolved into a clear narrative of betrayal, greed, and possible criminal conspiracy. Each new piece of information brought investigators closer to the truth, building a stronger case against the billionaire and his mistress. The tension surrounding the case captured public attention, and many awaited the moment when justice would finally be served. This turning point marked a shift from uncertainty to determination, a pivotal chapter in the story where secrets began to unravel, and the missing wife's fate grew ever closer to being revealed. The climax of this gripping saga came as the investigators finally unraveled the complex web of deceit surrounding the pregnant wife's disappearance. After months of painstaking work, hidden truths that had remained buried beneath layers of lies and manipulation began to surface, exposing the billionaire's carefully crafted scheme. The breakthrough was both shocking and undeniable. Evidence proved that the disappearance was not accidental or voluntary but the result of a calculated plan orchestrated by the billionaire himself. This revelation sent shockwaves through the media, the family, and the public, transforming the story from a mystery into a dramatic tale of betrayal and greed. The billionaire's scheme was far more sinister than anyone had imagined. Documents uncovered during the investigation revealed that he had been secretly working to discredit his wife, undermining her reputation and isolating her from potential allies. Financial records showed large, unexplained transfers to offshore accounts connected to the mistress, indicating a motive fueled by greed. It became clear that the billionaire's desire to marry the mistress and seize his wife's fortune was the driving force behind the entire ordeal. His ruthless ambition had led him to orchestrate her disappearance, hoping that with her out of the way, he could swiftly finalize the marriage and consolidate control over their combined wealth. The cold precision of his actions revealed a man willing to sacrifice everything, even human life, to protect his empire. As the truth unfolded, the fate of the pregnant wife was finally revealed, bringing a mix of relief and heartbreak to all who had been following her story. Against all odds, she was found alive but deeply traumatized, hidden away in a remote location with limited access to the outside world. Medical professionals attending to her described a woman weakened by her ordeal but unbroken in spirit. Her survival was a testament to her resilience and determination to endure despite the odds stacked against her. The discovery reignited hope for justice and underscored the urgency of holding those responsible accountable. Her return also opened a floodgate of questions about how she had been kept captive and who else might have been involved in the conspiracy. The mistress, who had once seemed poised to step into a life of power and luxury, faced a dramatic downfall. As evidence mounted, her carefully maintained facade crumbled under the weight of accusations and legal scrutiny. Authorities charged her with conspiracy and involvement in the abduction, shattering any illusions of innocence she had maintained. The mistress's social circle quickly distanced themselves, and the media painted her as the cold, calculating woman who had manipulated her way into the billionaire's life for personal gain. In some versions of the story, the mistress attempted to flee the country, but law enforcement intercepted her plans, preventing her escape and ensuring she faced justice. Her downfall served as a powerful warning about the consequences of greed and betrayal. This final showdown brought to light not only the truth behind the disappearance but also the devastating human cost of ambition run wild. The billionaire's empire, once thought untouchable, began to crumble as legal battles ensued and public opinion turned sharply against him. The pregnant wife's ordeal became a rallying point for advocates of justice and survivors of abuse, highlighting the importance of resilience and support in the face of adversity. While the scars of the experience would take time to heal, the exposure of the truth marked a critical victory in the fight against manipulation and cruelty. Ultimately, the resolution of this harrowing chapter brought a mix of closure and ongoing challenges. The pregnant wife, though safe, faced a long road to recovery and rebuilding her life, both physically and emotionally. The billionaire faced charges that threatened to dismantle everything he had built, while the mistress confronted the full consequences of her actions. The story serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers lurking beneath wealth and power and the resilience of those who refuse to be silenced. As the dust settled, one thing was clear: justice, though delayed, had finally arrived, shining a light on the darkness that had threatened to consume a family and forever change their lives. Following the dramatic revelations and the pregnant wife's eventual rescue, the legal system moved swiftly to hold those responsible accountable. The billionaire faced multiple charges, including conspiracy, kidnapping, and attempted fraud, each carrying severe penalties. Prosecutors presented a strong case built on the evidence collected throughout the investigation, from financial records to witness testimonies that detailed the extent of his manipulations. The court proceedings were highly publicized, drawing widespread attention as the billionaire's carefully maintained image began to unravel. Similarly, the mistress was charged with aiding and abetting the conspiracy, facing her own set of serious legal consequences. Their trials became emblematic of justice confronting privilege, demonstrating that no one is above the law, regardless of wealth or status. The family's reaction to these developments was a complex mixture of relief, grief, and cautious hope. For them, the return of the pregnant wife was a moment of immense emotional closure, but it also marked the beginning of a difficult healing process. The trauma she endured left deep scars, and her loved ones rallied around her, providing support and encouragement as she worked to rebuild her life. The family expressed gratitude to law enforcement and the community for their tireless efforts in bringing the truth to light. At the same time, they grappled with feelings of betrayal and heartbreak over the role played by someone so close to them. The emotional wounds inflicted by the billionaire's actions would take time to heal, but the solidarity within the family became a source of strength during this trying period. Public and media reaction to the case was intense and varied. The story captivated audiences worldwide, becoming a symbol of the darker sides of wealth, power, and human relationships. News outlets covered every development with fervor, analyzing the billionaire's fall from grace and the mistress's involvement in detail. Social media platforms became forums for discussion, sympathy, and outrage, with many expressing shock at the betrayal and the risks faced by the pregnant wife. Advocacy groups used the case to raise awareness about domestic abuse, coercion, and the importance of protecting vulnerable individuals. The widespread attention helped keep the issue in the public eye, ensuring that justice remained a priority and encouraging other victims to come forward. From this harrowing ordeal came important lessons about greed, trust, and betrayal. The billionaire's greed ultimately blinded him to the human cost of his actions, leading to his downfall and exposing the dangers of unchecked ambition. The betrayal experienced by the pregnant wife highlighted the fragility of trust within relationships, especially when power dynamics are uneven. It served as a stark reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that those who seem powerful and loving may harbor dark intentions. At the same time, the story demonstrated the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of standing up against injustice. It underscored the need for vigilance, support systems, and legal protections to prevent similar tragedies in the future. In the end, the aftermath of this case was a mixture of justice served, emotional recovery, and hard-earned wisdom. The billionaire and his mistress faced the consequences of their actions, while the family found ways to heal and move forward. The public's engagement ensured that this story would not be forgotten, serving as both a cautionary tale and a beacon of hope for those fighting their own battles. Through the pain and betrayal emerged a powerful message: no matter how deep the darkness, truth and justice have the power to prevail. In the wake of this harrowing story, one powerful message rises above all: trust your instincts. The pregnant wife, despite living in a world of luxury and security, sensed something was deeply wrong, and she was right. Too often, victims of abuse and manipulation are silenced by fear, shame, or disbelief. But this story shows that intuition is not just a feeling, it's a signal, a warning that something beneath the surface deserves attention. Encouraging people, especially women, to trust that voice inside can be the first step towards safety and survival. We must empower individuals to speak up, seek help, and believe that they are not alone, even when it feels like the world is against them. This story also offers a clear warning against unchecked greed and emotional manipulation in relationships. The billionaire, blinded by his ambition and desire for control, allowed his humanity to be swallowed by his need for power. His actions demonstrate how toxic relationships built on control and deceit can become dangerous, even life-threatening. It's crucial that society becomes better at recognizing the signs of emotional abuse, not just physical harm, but psychological control, financial manipulation, and isolation. Standing up against such behavior means more than just identifying it. It means supporting those caught in its grasp and refusing to look the other way when the signs are clear. Domestic abuse doesn't always wear visible bruises. Sometimes, it's dressed in luxury, hidden behind closed doors, or masked by charm and status. We must increase awareness about how power dynamics within relationships, especially when one partner holds significant control, can lead to devastating outcomes. Education, empathy, and accessible support systems are essential tools in preventing future tragedies. Friends, families, and communities have a vital role in noticing changes, asking questions, and offering safe spaces for those who may be suffering in silence. Silence can be deadly, but awareness saves lives. Even in the darkest parts of this story, there is hope. The pregnant wife's survival is proof that strength can be found even in the most vulnerable moments. Her return is not just a personal victory, it's a symbol of courage for every survivor who has ever felt trapped, betrayed, or voiceless. Let her story be a reminder that no matter how powerful the abuser, the truth has a voice. Justice is possible. Healing is real. And survivors are never alone. We must continue to listen, believe, and stand with them always.